Welcome you all to the fifth lecture of the 11th week related to history of Arabic literature. That is the course title. Well, in modern Arabic literary discourse, and of course, it's not limited to Arabic language or Arabic criticism or Arabic literary enterprise or scenario, rather extends to other languages. The present international literary scenario as such, I'll be using this word. There are many aspects that represent some new theories of language and literature, some new perspectives, new paradigms, standards applied in the domain of language and literature, study of language and literature, with their specific focus, with their characteristics, both thematic and methodological, thematic characteristics, methodological perspectives, characteristics, because of the theme or the content, primarily the thought, content, and the way these contents are arrived at, dealt with, analyzed in the domain of language and literature. We find many things only in this later stage that were, of course, not present as such in the past era, in the past times, in the past phases of the development of language and literature or literary discourse, not limited to Arabic. Even in the heydays of modernism or romanticism or modernism, or the Renaissance period, the transitory phase. In this sequence, we'll be focusing on three segments, new segments. The first is the terminological perspective. The second is an-naqd al-thaqafi, the concept of an-naqd al-thaqafi, the cultural criticism. Well, it is not the criticism of culture. Rather, the term that is a cultural criticism is related to study of language and literature in some cultural perspectives. The study of language, literature, like the symbols used in language, the isti'ara, the figures of speech, the figurative parameters that are present, that cannot be separated. They are intrinsically interwoven with each other. And the eco-criticism. So these three primarily things are, these things are primarily what we are concerned with. Terminology. What is terminology? We all know what is terminology, so we need not say many things about terminology in terms of definition. But again, in order to sum up the things, because we are talking about the terminological forum, some movements, some forums, some organizations, a discourse that has emerged in modern times in regard to the language into the study of language in a specific segment related to a specific part or domain, that is the domain of terminology. So it is not the generalized domain, the generalized perspectives of the study of language, like the grammatical perspective, the syntactic perspective, the morphological perspective, etc., the balagha perspective, the aruz perspective. Rather, it is a specific perspective known as terminology, mustalah, hence mustalahiyya. So what is mustalah? Terminology is a group of specialized words and respective meanings in a particular field, and also the study of such terms and their use. The latter meaning is also known as terminology science. A term is a word, compound word, or a multi-word expression that in specific, sometimes it might be a single word, sometimes it is compound word, sometimes it is multi-word expressions. Because it's all about the composition. Language is all about the compositions of different words units, Sometimes it is a single word, sometimes it is a compound word, sometimes it is the multi-word expression. So if they stand for a specific context in specific with the specific meanings, these may deviate from the meanings of the same words they have in other contexts and in everyday language. So here we'll finding that this is one word and it will be having two connotations or the ranges of the meanings. One range would be specific, another would be not very much specific. It would be something like common, related to primarily related to the root content. So every word has its first, it has the root content, the base content. This root is present, root in terms of meaning, of course, although it is primarily related to the physical aspect of the word, the madda, the root, but the root meaning that is present in the root of word, the physical word that is over there. So it is present in all the extensions will be having in terms of ishtiqaqat. So the primary meaning would be there. So primary meaning is the rough meaning, you can say that. It is the rough meaning, it is the common meaning. But of course, when will we specify, when we'll go into details, here it will be fragmentation in terms of separation. We'll be separating things from each other. So here what we'll be finding is that we simply there is a big circle space, then we simply squeeze it, we narrow it down, and here we find a specific meaning related to expressed by a specific word, and sometimes this specific meaning sometimes it doesn't have the specific word. So here we coin the terminology, sometimes we coin it. Just take the example of hasaba yahsabu, to calculate, to think, to assume, to suppose, with the meaning of, because here the primary thing is calculation. Now calculation was present from antiquity up to the modern times, but what about calculator? It's a new invention. So for calculator we'll be having al-hasib al-ali. So from hisab is mathematics, hasub. Now we have the computers, so it is al-hasub. So we'll be having that this hasiba was there, it is the root, it is the basis, and related to this root are many offsprings. These offsprings represent specific domains, specific units. These specific units are given by time, given by specific times. They are related to human society in the latest phase of human society, advancement, and related to advancement of science and technology, advancement in human society, etc. So here really finding that it is squeezed, narrowing down. Actually, our all the disciplines, when it comes especially in the for the study of the classification of the modern sciences or sciences, all of the sciences, human sciences, including literature in modern times, really having that these now we have that stratification, is specific classification. This stratification and specific classification is based on not expanding the things, rather narrowing down the scale. And this is also represented in the research parameters, every process of research, every idea of research. Now, the terminological theories include general theory of terminology, socio-terminology, communicative theory of terminology, socio-cognitive terminology, frame-based terminology, conceptual organization, the multidimensional nature of terminological units, and the extraction of the semantic and syntactic information through the use of multilingual corpora. So, if you just look at the literature, at the idea, at the concept of terminology or the terminological discourse, then these are different aspects related to the theme. The terminology discipline consists mainly of the following aspects: analyzing concepts and concept structure utilized in a field or area of activity. So here what we do is analysis of the concepts. We analyze the concepts. So first you have the concept, then you have a concept structure. Structure of the concept which are utilized in a specific field or area of activity. So concept and concept structure which is used. That is the first is a concept. It's a pure idea that we are having in our mind, and the second is the way it is applied, for example, in society. So concept structure. So the way you'll be utilizing this concept in society, it will be having its own structure. So it will be something like it will be modified a little bit, expanded, shortened, given a specific hue, specific nature. And the third, identifying the terms assigned to concepts. So there are specific concepts, and then you will be having the words. Read them as a terminology. So how to identify them, the process of identification. Like the terminology discipline consists mainly of the following concept aspects. These are the things, different things. There are all these words: first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, 8, 9 words. Now how to identify what is the word that qualifies to be known as terminology in this sentence or these sentences. So for this specific processes, recommended processes of identification. Creating correspondences between terms in the different languages in the case of multilingual or bilingual terms. So sometimes it is the multilingual term, sometimes it is the bilingual term. Bilingual term means there is a word that consists of that has in its root two languages. The roots are related to two languages. We can have many examples. So usually there are the loan words related to one language. So that is monolingual. Sometimes we'll be having multilingual or bilingual, multilingual and bilingual. So monolingual, like we'll be saying, for example, we'll be saying al-kitab. It is monolingual. Al-qarn, al-wusta, al-qarn and al-awsat. Al-qarn and al-awsat will be merging. So we'll be having al-qurun, al-wusta, two words. But both are related to one language, monolingual. Sometimes it will be borrowed from other language, like democracy, Jumhuri, Arabic, and democracy, also Arabic, but it is Mu'arrab, taken from democracy, Arabicized democracy. And then bilingual, for example. So it will be like الصهيونية الأمريكية, like الصهيونية الأمريكية. We'll be having a new word, that is الصهيو أمريكية. الصهيو الأمريكية. الصهيو الأمريكية. So أمريكية الأمريكية الصهيونية to الأمريكية, that is English. الصهيونية, it is like Arabic. So combining between Arabic and English, الصهيو أمريكية. السوسيو ثقافي. السوسيو ثقافي. السوسيو ثقافي. السوسيو السوشيولوجية. السوسيولوجية الثقافي من الثقافة، فجمعنا بينهما فقلنا السوسيو ثقافي. We'll be using this, we'll be finding this word in the modern discourse, modern writings. So it is an example of the bilingual terms. So identification of these terminologies. Then we'll be having the components of so key components of the terminological discourse is, first, it is the terminology, which we have seen it's a set of specialized words and their meanings for a specific subject, along with the study of these terms. Then we'll be having the discourse. What is this discourse? It will be language in use which can be seen as a social practice, social practice that constructs social identities, relationship, and meaning systems. It goes beyond just the words to include how language is used to achieve the social goals. So when a study of language, when language is applied in relation to the place, to the space, to the atmosphere inhabited by the objects of our concern, the humans, for example. So when seen in this social practice perspective, it becomes the discourse. So language discourse, terminology, and discourse. Terminological discourse, a study of terminology. When this terminology gets is used in relation to a social practice. So here it will be the terminological discourse. The nexus, the core of the field, is the link between terminology and discourse, analyzing terms with their authentic linguistic environments. Linguistic approaches. This area of study uses various linguistic methods to examine how terms are used, including the term variation, that is the study of the variations in terms, in words which are which have been identified as terminologist terms, how terms change in form and uses, because we'll be having that there are the variation in terms. Sometimes they are they undergo changes in form as well as in uses. I've seen these examples like hasiba, just recall it, hasiba, then hasib, and then hasub, and then of course if you take into account the accountant, then it is al-muhasib. So terminological variation, synchronic and diachronic formation, how terms are formed at a single point in time versus other time. So synchronic and diachronic parameters. Textual terminology, analysis of how terms function in actual text. Corpus analysis, using large or small collections of text corpora to extract and study terms. So these are the components. Now that was the theoretical aspect. Now in the Arabic domain, in the domain of Arabic, in modern times especially, because this is something, the terminological study phenomenon or the terminological discourse in Arabic is something new that has emerged in postmodern, we can say in postmodern literary scenario. Among the foremost persons are Ali al-Qasimi in his book that is Ilm al-Mustalah, which he had in which he had dealt with the theoretical aspects as well as the practical aspects, implications, the practical aspects. Tawfiq al-Zidi, a Tunisian scholar. Ali al-Qasimi is a Iraqi scholar, well-noted Iraqi scholar, known for his contributions in the domain of terminology and terminological studies. Also Tawfiq al-Zidi from Tunisia. تأسيس المصطلحية النقدية العربية, a very well-known book. I have been with Tawfiq al-Zidi in Tunisia while I had taken part in the first international meeting, international congress on the domain of terminology, Arab terminological discourse, alongside other prominent persons from Arab world, chiefly from Morocco. Ali bin Ahmad al-Razahi, Al-Madkhal ila Ilm al-Mustalah, another very well-known and important contributions. Mahmoud Fahmi Hijazi, Al-Usus al-Lughawiyya li Ilm al-Mustalah, the linguistic grounds, the linguistic basis structures of structure in relation to terminology, or the linguistic terminological structures basis grounds. أحمد مطلوب في المصطلح النقدي significant contribution. عيسى وغليسي إشكالية المصطلح في الخطاب النقدي العربي الجديد. خالد اليعبودي آليات توليد المصطلح وبناء المعاجم. This has been his main concern, main contribution, which is part of المعجمية العربية قضايا وآفاق. I have been with him. We have been together on some occasions. Well, we had collectively founded the International Terminological Forum, alongside other books like مصطلح المعجمية العربية في المعجمية والمصطلحية، إشكالية تلقي المصطلح اللساني في المعجمة العربية المعاصرة، المعجمة العربية أصولها وتطورها، النقد. So these are related to the terminological discourse. The second discourse we'll be talking about is النقد الثقافي, cultural criticism. What is cultural criticism? It is not simply the criticism of the culture. What is culture? Of course, we need not define what is culture. The set of norms, the values, the systems that are found in a specific milieu of society, in a specific geographical and temporal milieu in relation to human society, having sociological parameters of a sociological nature. It's known as a culture. So culture, there has to be some difference between some approximately meeting concepts like the concept of civilization and culture. Sometimes we don't differentiate between the two, but there has to be. We must differentiate between the two terms in relation to the ranges of their meanings. So civilization is broader than culture. Culture is first, then we'll be having the civilization. So Arab culture was there, but Arab civilization, it only appeared at a later stage, as we can recollect things with past. So it was not a civilization, for example, in the Arab parameters before the advent of Islam. Before the advent of Islam, there was no civilization, even not culture. We can say that the primary structure of culture was there, but the culture really finding during the Umayyad periods, and civilization during the Abbasid period. So difference between culture and civilization. Now, where there is society, there is culture, and it might have civilization. And of course, it has the language, because we cannot conceive any society, any human society, in the absence of humans. If it is not inhabited by humans, then it is not a human society. And humans are not separable from their languages. Humans are associated with the languages, inseparably. Then we have the humans have the culture and language. The language is a complex phenomenon based on nature. Like sound is nature, it's a segment of nature. This sound, while standing for some specific meanings in mind, here we'll be finding that this cognitive aspect, so nature aspect, then we'll be having the cognitive aspect, and in the third instance we'll be having the expressive aspect. And it is actually at this stage that we'll be having an actual form, the well-defined, we'll be finding a phenomenon that is known as language. Before that, it was not language. Simple sounds, not language. Or simple cognitive aspect, it's not language. It turns into language. Language comes when only at the third stage. Now humans live in a society, then, and society is having the culture. So in this way, we'll be having that. We'll be finding that language is reflective of many things, many things, cultural in their nature. So culture plays a very significant role, substantial role in the linguistic formation, in formation of language, the structure of language of any society, or language society, or race, or nation. Now coming to the second part of this, the language is having its linguistic culture, language culture, or the culture reflective of the elements of culture that are prevalent in society. So elements of culture, because language is reflective of culture. Now language has many words, many aspects. Here what attracts our attention is the figurative aspect, of language. Figurative aspect of language, especially the isti'ara, the kinaya, the tamsil, they are related to the actual society to which this language phenomenon is related. It cannot be separated. So the idioms, for example, the phrases, the hyperboles, the personifications, the tashbih, the istara, etc., allegories, they are reflective of the social milieu, of the culture of the nation, the culture that is found in the society. So, like if you want to say, you praise a person for his generosity, in Arab perspectives, we'll be saying he is as generous as Hatim Tai. So then, who was Hatim Tai and how generous he was? So in this sequence, we'll have to go to Arabia Desert, and figure out how Hatim Tai lived there, and how he welcomed the guests in the desert and offered them his lavish hospitality. And there are so many things, so many details are recorded by historians. So this aspect, this allegory is deep-rooted. It means that this allegory is deep-rooted into this aspect, into the sociological, into the cultural aspect. Take the example of Al-Hamasa. Al-Hamasa in Arabia, it is the chivalry. Now, the concept of chivalry is something inseparable from the actual society, actual culture that was in Arabia. How the poet, or how the poet was concerned with with certain aspects of his personality, certain emotions, certain his preferences, the chivalry, the bravery, alongside standing for justice, taking the revenge, sometimes opposites. But when analyzed in ultimate analysis, we'll be finding that they all present a personality that is sometimes full of that's complex. It's not very simple. So complexity of things that make a personality, a human personality. So humans love, humans hate, we eat, we don't eat, we sleep, we don't sleep, we laugh, we don't laugh, we cry, we don't cry. So we speak, we don't speak. We keep silence, we don't keep silence. So sometimes the paradoxes, the contradictions, the complex. We will be calling it the complexity. So this al-hamasa, it represents the best qualities, the qualities that were revered, that were appreciated, upheld by the society as good norms, as virtues, like generosity. So if a person was like he was not generous, it was something like curse. It was abuse, a big abuse for him. If someone said that he didn't welcome his guest, هو بخيل. البخل يعني عادة سيئة جدا، يعني قيمة سلبية في الحياة الجاهلية. السخاء قيمة إيجابية. Now, this positive and negative aspect related to a specific value, it is deep rooted into the culture of this of the nation, the culture. So, a study of language in these parameters, especially in perspective of the symbolics of the figuratives of language. So, in this sequence, we'll be having many names like شوقي بدر يوسف، الرواية وآليات النقد الثقافي، النقد الثقافي في الخطاب النقد العربي، العراق ونموذجا، النقد الثقافي عبد الله الغزامي, the foremost name in this domain we have seen in the I think in the past lecture. النقد الثقافي, another book, Arthur Iserberger, a translated book translated by Wafa Ibrahim and Ramadan Bastawis. النقد الثقافي من النسق الثقافي للرؤية الثقافية عبد الرزاق المصباحي. بوتيق الثقافة نحو النظرية الشعرية في النقد الثقافي by بشرى موسى صالح, among other books we will be having in this sequence. So that was the second part of this lecture. Coming to eco-criticism, which is again among the latest emerging ideas that have impacted the literary discourse and the critical discourse in modern times. Eco-criticism, the green literature in eco-criticism. Here we'll be having some personalities who had played a primary role in formation of this discipline. So way back in 1972, we have Joseph Meeker, Literary Ecology, in his The Comedy of Survival Studies in Literary Ecology. William Reckert in his essay Literature and Ecology, and Experiment in Eco-Criticism, 1978. So we can see that it is a later phenomenon. It's a later phenomenon. Eco-criticism and environmental rethinking literature and culture. Eco-criticism and the modernist imagination. Eco-criticism and the idea of culture. Post-colonial ecologies. The value of eco-criticism. Eco-criticism written by different scholars and critics. And in Arabic, we'll be having a significant number of writers dedicating to some of their contributions, books, to address the issue. Alongside addressal of the issue in the literary creations, in their literary contributions. So we'll be having the scholarly studies, the academia, the academic studies, alongside literary contributions. So النقد الأدبي البيئي, فاطمة الزهراء and Muhammad Fawzi. النقد البيئي ونظرية الأدب, having to formulate the primary forms of the very thought structure of theoretical framework of the literary criticism in Arabic. سير عبير جودة عبد الحافظ, فاطمة الزهراء, محمد فوزي. عبد الحق بالعابد, السرديات البيئية نحو النقد بيلي للرواية العربية. نحو النقد بيئي للرواية العربية. So this is another very well-known book. عبد الحق بالعابد very significant name in the domain of eco-criticism in Arabic. We have been together on some occasions. النقد البيئي مفاهيم وتطبيقات الشعر العربي المعاصر من منظور إيكولوجي. الرواية العربية دراسة نقدية إيكولوجية. It's a study of the Arab narrative, Arab novel in ecological perspectives. النقد البيئي another study. النقد البيئي another study. مقدمات، مقاربات، تطبيقات, among many others that we'll be having. So this actually constitutes a discourse in Arabic on both in perspectives of theory, that is formation of the discourse on theoretical grounds, on conceptual grounds. This very discourse of ecological literature and ecological criticism. Now, let's come to conclusion about this. We have seen this theoretical exposition and the concerns of Arabia, intelligentsia, men of letters, critics, etc. To this domain, how they have been concerned with this domain. So this is it. But why it was all about? What was that it's all about? This is to be seen, to sum up in a few words, the great imbalance humans have created in relation to his existence in this world, in a specific environment, in the lap of nature. This imbalance that has disturbed the very fabric of human life and sustainability, where the idea of sustainability has been shaken, and there's imbalance between humans and the environment, the other in terms of other humans, the societies, the cultures, but primarily the nature, fauna and flora, resources. This imbalance has created some catastrophes, deforestation, and migration of humans from one place to displacement, deforestation, and disturbance, very much disturbance in the fabric of life, disharmony between nature and humans, pollution, air pollution, sound pollution, poverty, of course, malaise, ailments, many ailments, many malaises given birth by this imbalance between humans and nature. So there is this Anthropocene. النقد البيئي, الأدب البيئي, ecological literature and ecological criticism addresses this Anthropocene. It's a study of nature, a study of the ecosystem in all the facets, in historical perspectives as well as the taking into account the present scenario. This constitutes the eco-criticism, eco-literature and eco-criticism. There's another aspect that draws our attention, that it's not simply the how we are concerned with nature in modern times. How do we constitute our instances? How do we define our relationship to nature? Rather, it extends to past, like how the peoples in the Middle Ages, how the poets, the men of letters, the critics, the scientists, the theorists, even the theologians during the Middle Ages dealt with the issues of nature and ecology. and how to gauge their sensitivity. So here really finding that that study of past in postmodern perspectives. Here I call it a study of past in postmodern perspectives. And here ecological studies, this ecological critical domain and discourse holds a specific position. With this, we conclude this lecture. Thank you.